This spoiled bread you see in front of you, or this penicillin antibiotic you see, or the spray being used on crops, all these things are possible because of fungi. Fungi are eukaryotic, non-vascular, non-motile, and heterotrophic organisms. Let me tell you what these terms mean. Eukaryotic means they have a true nucleus. This means fungi have a well-defined nucleus. Fungi are non-vascular, which means they do not have blood vessels. They are also non-motile, meaning they stay in one place, like plants. Fungi are heterotrophic, which means they cannot produce their own food using sunlight, unlike plants. In this lecture, we will cover the following topics. First, we will learn what fungi are. Next, we will explore the structure of fungi. Then, we will look at the characteristics of fungi, followed by their classification. After that, we will study the reproduction of fungi, including its different types. Finally, we will discuss the uses of fungi. So, let's begin with the introduction. What are fungi? Most fungi have a filamentous structure, except for yeast, which exists as single cells. All fungi except yeast are typically filamentous. Additionally, fungi can be either single-celled organisms or multicellular. One of the defining features of fungi is their thread-like structures, which are called hyphae. Fungi also have a cell wall, which is made of chitin and polysaccharides. Lastly, the nucleus of fungi is surrounded by a membrane called the nuclear membrane. Let's now discuss the structure of fungi. The structure you see here is an example of fungi. This round structure at the top is called the sporangium. This sporangium contains spores. The long filamentous structure is called hyphae. I mentioned earlier that fungi have hyphae. The root-like structures at the bottom are called rhizoids. Now, let's move on to the characteristics of fungi. Fungi are eukaryotic, non-vascular, non-motile, and heterotrophic organisms, which I have already explained. Do you know that fungi can be unicellular or filamentous? As mentioned before, these filaments are called hyphae. Fungi reproduce using spores. They do not contain chlorophyll, as plants do, so they are unable to carry out photosynthesis. Fungi store their food in the form of starch, and their nuclei contain very small nucleoli. Fungi can reproduce both sexually and asexually, which means they have multiple ways of reproducing. Now, let's discuss the classification of fungi. Fungi are classified in different ways. Today, we will study their classification based on their mode of nutrition. According to their mode of nutrition, fungi can be classified as 1. Saprophytic, 2. Parasitic, 3. Symbiotic. Let's explore each type one by one. The first classification is saprophytic fungi. These fungi obtain their food from dead organisms. These organisms could be plants or animals. Examples of saprophytic fungi include Penicillium and Aspergillus. The second classification is parasitic fungi. Parasitic fungi live on or within other organisms, harming them and obtaining their food from them. An example of a parasitic fungus is the Candida genus. The third classification is symbiotic fungi. Symbiotic fungi form relationships with other species, and in these relationships, both the fungi and the other species benefit. An example of a symbiotic relationship is lichens and mycorrhizae. Let me explain these in more detail. The lichen relationship involves fungi and algae. In this relationship, fungi provide shelter to algae, while algae, in turn, provide food to fungi. The second example is mycorrhizae, which is a relationship between fungi and plants. In mycorrhizae, fungi help plants with nutrient absorption, and in return, the plant provides food to the fungi. Now, let's talk about reproduction in fungi. There are three types of reproduction in fungi. 1. Vegetative reproduction. 2. Asexual reproduction. 3. Sexual reproduction, vegetative reproduction occurs through budding, fission, and fragmentation. In asexual reproduction, fungi produce spores, which helps them reproduce. In sexual reproduction, the hyphae of fungi fuse together, which leads to the formation of new fungi. Now, let's discuss the uses of fungi. Although there are many uses for fungi, we will focus on the main uses here. Fungi play a significant role in food preparation. They are also used to produce pesticides for crops, as I mentioned at the beginning. In addition, fungi are used to make citric acid, antibiotics, and even certain human hormones. These are some of the key uses of fungi. Today's question is, what do we call the filamentous structure of fungi? If you are a genius, you can answer in the comments. If you would like to watch my other lectures on topics like the lungs, kidneys, liver, brain, and eyes, visit my channel to view my other videos.